Hi guys and welcome. I hope all is well with you and your family. The weather is really cold outside and my garden is asleep, so I figured today might be a good day to go over some of your garden questions, and that way, we can challenge each other to be better gardeners for this year. So I'm going to take a look at the questions with you. The first one is, what is the most common mistake that gardeners make? And it's really a simple one. It actually has to do with watering. In some cases, plants are being overwatered, and then what happens is the soil gets waterlogged, bacteria builds up in there, then the leaves start to wilt and the plant dies. And so it's good to always take a look at the soil and make sure that is dried out a little bit before you actually, water again. You can, if it's a container garden, you can just reach in, check the soil, and then that way you know that it's time. And the opposite end of the spectrum is not watering enough. The soil gets really dry, almost to the point of being hard and powdery. And then, of course, if this happens repeatedly, then they're going to die. A few mistakes can happen here or there, but if this becomes a habit, then most likely your plant will not survive. So definitely bear that in mind. Question number 2 is, what should you bear in mind when choosing plants? And there are a couple of factors. First one actually is make sure that it's a plant that grows in your area. So if you're in a tropical area, plants that are going to survive. If you're in a colder climate, then plants that will survive there. And it's always good just to look around in your neighborhood or even your garden center to see what they're promoting or what your neighbors grow, and that way you would know what will be best for you. The next thing is the size of the plant. You want to make sure that if you're getting shrubs, hedges and things like that, that it's going to fit the size of your yard, your little garden, or whether it's large. So they start off small, but bear in mind that you look and see how big they're going to get before you actually make your choice. Next thing to bear in mind is that they have to be healthy plants, or they should be. When they're not doing so well already at the garden center, it's most likely that they're going to be susceptible to pests and diseases, and that way, they're not going to make it. So to save yourself the trouble, just get the healthier ones, take them home with you, and give them all the TLC that they need. And another factor too is time. How much time do you have? Will you have enough time to give them a lot of attention? If not, you want to get low maintenance plants. And last but not least, it's a matter of lighting. Do they like a lot of sunlight, or do they like partial shade or full shade? Because if you put them in the wrong area, then they're not going to survive and you'd have wasted your money. So bear that in mind as well. The next question is, what is a good characteristic of a gardener, a good gardener? And that actually, I think, is patience. You really have to be patient with your plants, your fruits, your vegetables, and they'll reward you, as time goes by. Just give them their season. Sometimes some plants may not bloom the first year after you plant. You may have to give them a year or two. Things like iris, coneflowers and things like that. If you plant coneflower from the seed, you have to give it a little bit of time before you reap the rewards. Next question is, what do I hate about gardening? What I hate about gardening is weeds. I know that there's some people out there that actually like weeds. They like dandelions and things like that, but that's not for me at all. If you were to talk to my kids or my husband, you know that we don't like weeds. We try really hard to get them in the early stages, and that's what I typically recommend, because if it gets to a point where it loses control, then what happens is you have to get outside help, and it costs you more, and it's just more time consuming and all of that. So definitely you'll want to catch it early so that you save yourself the headache. And by the way, if you've reached this far in the video and you have not subscribed to my channel, I really hope that you'll do so, and also that you'll give me a like and share it with those that you think might want this information. The next question is, what was my most rewarding moment in gardening? And I have to say it was when I grew my largest pumpkin. It was over 20 pounds. The flesh was very thick. It was very nice. I shared it with my neighbors, 2 of them, and I made lots of soup. I took pictures with my kids, holding it, and it was just wonderful. And the good thing about that too is that that year we were not able to start planting until late in the season. So I honestly thought I was not going to get any pumpkins. And I was there watering one of my plants, and I just looked over onto the leaves and I saw it, and I was so happy. It was such a pleasant surprise. So, that's the reward of gardening. And I really hope that you'll take it up this year if you haven't already, just to see what's going to happen in your space. The next question is, what is my favorite flower? And it's really hard for me to choose a favorite. I would say all of them. But if I had to narrow it down, I would put it between daffodils, pansies, and roses. Daffodils and pansies because they're so resilient in the cold weather. They just go on through like a trooper. And the roses because when I have the tea roses, they smell so good whether I bring them in, like in a nice bouquet that I decorate, or if I just go and, smell them in my garden. So that would be the top 3 for me. The next question is any garden failures? And yes, I did have one. Well, actually more than one, but the one that stands out most in my mind is where I had a moringa plant that was given, the seed was actually given to me from miles away, hundreds of miles away, and I planted it and it grew. And I didn't bring it in because it does grow fairly large, and it is tropical. So I really should have tried to bring it in, and I didn't. And it died after 6 years. So if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'll get another seed and I'll try again because it's a really good plant. It has great medicinal purposes. It's really good for you. And last but not least, does gardening ever get any easier? And the answer is yes. It does get easier. It does take some practice over time. It's always good to, talk to your fellow gardeners. You can join groups, gardening clubs and things like that. And just, learn from your mistakes as you go along, and you'll really see the benefit of that. So I hope that this video was helpful to you. I hope that you'll take up the challenge if you wanted to also answer these questions, for yourself, just to see how you feel about all of that. Then definitely go for it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And again, do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful week.